German football never traded on magic, it traded on certainty. 4 stars on the shirt. More World Cup finals played than any country in the history of the sport. You didn't admire this team, you set your watch by it. And then, one afternoon in Russia,
South Korea knocked Germany out of the 2018 World Cup.
Now, 4-time champions Germany have been knocked out of the World Cup for the second straight edition.
the watch simply stopped. For the first time since 1938, Germany were knocked out of a World Cup in the first round. They were the defending champions.
Now, Germany are the champions of the world.
Everybody thought, oh, Argentina, Brazil, but everybody underestimated the German team. They got it.
And this was only the beginning. Every legend has an origin. Germany's was forged in the rain, 1954. The final in Bern. On one side, Hungary, the mighty Magyars, unbeaten for 4 years, the finest team on the planet. On the other, a West German side from a country still pulling itself out of the rubble. Hungary led by 2 goals inside 8 minutes. West Germany came back to win 3-2. They called it the Miracle of Bern, and a broken nation found a reason to stand up straight again. 2 decades on, the machine had a captain, Franz Beckenbauer. In 1974, on home soil, West Germany beat the artistry of Johan Cruyff's Netherlands 2-1. Gerd Müller, the deadliest poacher of his generation, burying the winner, a second star. In 1990, a third, settled by an Andreas Brehme penalty against Argentina, and Beckenbauer joined the teeniest of clubs, the men who have lifted the World Cup as a captain and then lifted it again as a coach. Then, in 2006, the machine grew a heart. Germany hosted the tournament, finished third, and a famously buttoned-up country poured into the streets. They named that summer the Sommermärchen, the summer fairy tale. A nation fell for its own team all over again. By 2010, that warmth had a new face, a fearless young side that put 4 past England and 4 past Argentina on the way to the last 4. And in 2014, the machine reached its summit. In the semi-final, the hosts, Brazil, were taken apart, 7-1. A scoreline so absurd, it still reads like a typing error. In the final, a substitute named Mario Götze cushioned the ball on his chest and volleyed home the goal that beat Argentina and won a 4th World Cup. In that same tournament, Miroslav Klose scored his 16th World Cup goal, more than any footballer in the history of the competition. A German, naturally, holding the record for sheer ruthlessness, reliable, relentless. From 1954 to 2014, the quarterfinal was not something Germany hoped for. It was the floor beneath their feet. Hold that thought, because the floor was about to give way. For most of living memory, the idea of Germany failing early was almost a contradiction in terms. It didn't happen, so it was assumed it couldn't. 2018, the champions land in Russia, and from the first exchanges, something is grinding. They lose to Mexico. They rescue the Sweden game with a Toni Kroos free kick in the 95th minute, the old machine spluttering back to life for 90 seconds. And then comes South Korea in Kazan, the night we began this video with. 2 goals in stoppage time. The goalkeeper stranded upfield. The world champions, bottom of their group, going home. 80 years of dependability, undone in 3 matches. And then, it turned poisonous off the pitch. Mesut Ozil, a 2014 world champion, born in Germany to a Turkish family, quit the national team, saying he was treated as German when they won, and as an outsider when they lost. The row tore through the country, and the federation alike. Germany weren't only losing matches now, they were losing the thread of who they were. At the delayed Euros in 2021, England knocked them out at Wembley in the round of 16, and Joachim Löw, the architect of 2014, stepped down after 15 years in charge. In came Hansi Flick, 8 wins from his first 8 games. The believers exhaled, and then it happened a second time. Qatar 2022, beaten by Japan, held by Spain, a win over Costa Rica that counted for nothing, as they went out on goal difference. 2 World Cups running, both ending in the group stage. Now consider this, since the night in 2014 they lifted lifted the trophy, Germany have not won a single knockout match at a World Cup. Not one. A team built, brick by brick, for the closing stages, and it could no longer reach them. That is not a slump. That is a machine that has forgotten the one thing it was made to do. A machine this finely built does not seize up for a single reason. Strip it down and you find 5. First, the 2014 team was a set of beautifully engineered components, and they retired, one after another, Lahm and Klose straight after the triumph, Schweinsteiger in 2016, Ozil in 2018, and after Euro 2024, Toni Kroos, the metronome at the center of everything, walked away too. Germany kept turning out good players. What dried up for a while was the supply of great ones, the irreplaceable few the system had always seemed to produce right on schedule. Second, this is the land of Gerd Müller and Miroslav Klose, two of the purest goal scorers the game has ever known. And yet, for years after Klose, Germany hunted for a top-class number 9 and came up empty. They retrained midfielders. They auditioned one name after another. The most clinical football nation on earth had mislaid its finisher. Third, Joachim Löw gave Germany 15 years and a world title. But ideas have a shelf life, and the blueprint that conquered 2014 slowly curdled. When the moment called for reinvention, the team reached instead for familiar names and old certainties. The same engine, running long past the point it should have been swapped out. Fourth, for generations, German meant something exact on a football pitch. Economical, cold-blooded, lethal at the only moment that counted. You did not take liberties against Germany, and somewhere in the decline, that edge dulled. The possession stayed, the threat didn't, the control stayed, the killer instinct didn't. All process and no product. Fifth, the Ozil affair, tournament protests that drowned out the football itself. A German football association lurching from one crisis to the next, and in 2023, after a 4-1 humiliation at home to Japan, the federation did the one thing it had never done in nearly a century. It sacked its head coach. Since the role was created in 1926, through war, through partition, through reunification, no Germany manager had ever been fired. The most stability-obsessed institution in the game had finally lost patience with itself. And while the German machine stalled, the rest of the world refused to stand still. For 50 years, everyone else had measured themselves against Germany. Now Germany were the ones doing the measuring. The deepest cut came at home. Euro 2024 was meant to be the relaunch, a second summer fairy tale on German soil. In the quarter-final against Spain, Florian Wirtz dragged the game into extra time with a goal in the 89th minute. Then, in the 119th, a Spanish substitute, Mikel Merino, rose to head the hosts out of their own tournament. It was the final act of Toni Kroos's career, the dream of glory at home, extinguished at home. And Spain didn't stop there. The side that knocked Germany out went on to be crowned champions of Europe. France too pulled clear, quicker, deeper, more powerful. The yardstick had moved, and for the first time anyone could remember, Germany was no longer it. Even reaching this World Cup was a stumble rather than a stride. Germany opened qualifying with a shock, a 2-0 loss away in Slovakia, the first time they had ever lost a World Cup qualifier on the road. They regrouped. They topped the group. They thrashed Slovakia 6-0 to confirm their ticket, but it felt like relief, not arrival. Which brings us to the 2026 World Cup. Germany's answer is no longer a question, it's a scoreline against Curaçao, among the smallest nations ever by population to reach a World Cup. The kind of fixture that old Germany would have settled before halftime. These days, Germany assumed nothing, and for 21 minutes here, the assumption looked misplaced, Levano Comenencia leveling it at 1-1 to send the tiny Caribbean nation into a frenzy. Then, the old order reasserted itself. Kai Havertz scored twice, as Germany pulled away late in the opening half and piled on after that, a 7-1 win. Talent is the one thing this team does not lack. Jamal Musiala, who moves through defenses as though the laws of physics were merely suggestions. Florian Wirtz, the most inventive German playmaker in 20 years. Leroy Sané, Kai Havertz. The new components are gleaming. Behind them stands the last man left from the golden age, Manuel Neuer, a champion of 2014, minding the goal for one final tournament. The old machine and the new in the same 11. And at the controls, Julian Nagelsmann Nagelsmann, once the most coveted young coach in Europe, now handed the trickiest repair job in the game, rebuilding the machine while it runs, watched by 80 million people who can still remember its hum. Because the lesson of the last decade is not that Germany forgot how to play football. It is that a dynasty is not a birthright. It is a machine, and a machine needs maintenance. The components aged, the identity blurred, the rivals caught them and passed them, and the most predictable team on earth became, almost overnight, the most unpredictable. Reliability cannot be inherited. It has to be engineered. From scratch, by hand, Germany engineered it once, out of the ruins of 1954. The question now is whether they can do it a second time, out of the wreckage of 2 group stages and a heartbreak at home. A young coach, a gifted, untested generation, one last campaign for the final survivor of the great years. The machine is open on the bench, in pieces, in front of the whole world. We are about to find out whether it still runs. For 60 years, Germany never once had to wonder whether it belonged among the best. From this World Cup, it finds out.